Hello and welcome to the orientation session for the Digital SAT 2026. My name is 𝗀𝗳𝗀𝗶𝗃 and I'm the CEO and lead instructor at Anees Hussain Institutes. In today's video, we'll talk about what the SAT exam looks like and what is the format of the SAT exam. I'll also tell you how the test is delivered through a digital interface, what the app looks like, and what tools are available for you to appear in the exam. I'll also tell you how the adaptive nature of the test affects your score and how you can use it to your benefit. I'll also tell you what the upcoming SAT test dates are and how you can register for those test dates. And finally, I'll also tell you how we at Anees Hussain can help you prepare for the SAT to get the best possible score. Let's begin. As I mentioned to you before, my name is 𝗀𝗳𝗀𝗶𝗃 and I'm the CEO and lead instructor at Anees Hussain Institutes. I completed my BBA and MBA from IBA Karachi in 1999 with a majors in finance. I also have extensive corporate work experience. I've worked in the finance departments of major organizations such as 𝗬𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗡 and Procter & Gamble Pakistan. I've also been associated with Anees Hussain for over 30 years and I've taught courses such as the SAT, the GMAT, the GRE, and also admissions test prep for IBA, LUMS, CBM, and so on. My extensive knowledge of the SAT comes from the fact that I have seen through every major transition that has happened in the SAT over the last 30 years. So hopefully you'll be able to see what my extensive experience brings to you and how I can help you prepare for the SAT test. I'm sure you all know how important the SAT exam is. It is considered an important step for most university admissions in the US and also increasingly now in Pakistan. A lot of Pakistani universities such as the IBA and LUMS will accept a high score of SAT in place of their own university admissions test. Therefore, getting a good score will allow you to apply for all of these universities without appearing in their own university admissions test. It'll help you save time and effort as well. One important thing to remember is when to appear in the SAT exam. We suggest that you appear in the SAT within your first year of A-levels or intermediate to give you adequate preparation time to get a high enough score that'll be sufficient for your requirements. Now let's talk about the format of the SAT exam. We know that the SAT exam offers a total of 1600 points. That is the maximum score that you can get in the test. And the time for the entire test is 2 hours and 14 minutes. And you need to attempt a total of 98 questions divided into two sections, one critical reading and writing, and the other is called the math section. There is no essay, there is no negative marking, and there is a fixed section order. Now, what are the two sections? Well, we have the reading and writing section, which is known also as the verbal section, which offers a total of 800 points, which is divided into two modules, 32 minutes each. Now, in each module, you have 27 questions, which means a total of 54 questions that need to be attempted in the total time of 64 minutes. Therefore, you have a total of 71 seconds for each question on average. Similarly, in the math section, you have 800 points as well, and you also have two modules, but those are slightly longer, 35 minutes each. And you have 22 questions per module, which means a total of 44 questions to attempt, which gives you 95 seconds per question or approximately 1 minute and 35 seconds for each question. Now, the main difference between the verbal section, which is the reading and writing section, and the math section is that all the questions in the reading and writing section are multiple choice. Whereas in the math section, 75% questions are multiple choice and the remaining 25% questions are called student response questions, which means you need to type in the correct answer. Let's try to demystify the SAT to understand what the test is checking you on. Let's start with the reading and writing section, which is checking you for your understanding of evidence and expression. There are four core areas. The first thing is that the passages that you come across will be across a range of disciplines and text complexities. So you need to be able to decipher those and answer questions based on what you've understood. You also need to display command of evidence, which is both textual and quantitative. So you might see a bit of math-based questions in the reading and writing section as well. There's an emphasis on high utility words and phrases in context, which means it's testing you on your knowledge of vocabulary and also commonly used idioms in English. And we also need to display knowledge of core conventions through sentence structure, usage, and punctuation, which is testing you on your knowledge of grammar. And the next section is the math section, which is testing you for your understanding of logic and readiness. There are two things to remember. Number one, it is focusing on the math that matters most for college and career readiness and success. And number 2, you will see multiple choice questions and also student response questions in the section. Let's dive deeper into the reading and writing section to identify what is being tested in the verbal section. We have craft and structure, we have information and ideas, we have standard English conventions, and we also have expression of ideas. These are the 4 core areas that the SAT wants to test us on. Now, within each of these, you have further subdivisions. So, for example, in craft and structure, you have 3 main subdivisions. There is words and context, which means you need to determine the precise meaning of vocabulary based on the context of how they've been used. Then we have text structure and purpose, which means we need to analyze how a passage is organized and what is the primary goal of the author in writing that passage. We also have cross-text connections, which means we need to compare and contrast the arguments or viewpoints in 2 passages that are usually linked together in their ideas. Within information and ideas, we also have 3 subdivisions. The first is central ideas and details, which means that you need to identify and summarize the main arguments or themes in a text. We also have command of evidence, which means that the question wants us to find quotations, lines, or data that directly support a claim. We also have inferences, which means we need to make deductions of what is being said between the lines, something that is not stated explicitly or what is implied by the passage. The third thing is standard English conventions, which is testing us on our knowledge of grammar, specifically 2 main areas. We have boundaries, which is the proper use of punctuation within a sentence, and we also have form, structure, and sense, which requires us to correct grammatical errors such as subject-verb agreement, verb tenses, pronouns, and parallel structure. So essentially, your knowledge of grammar is going to be important to make sure that you do these questions well. The fourth type is expression of ideas, which is also divided into 2 subsections. There is rhetorical synthesis, which means combining information from student notes to meet a specific goal. So you'll be provided notes from a student's research, and you'll be asked to use information from those notes to achieve a certain objective. We also have transitions, which means selecting the words that most appropriately connect 2 ideas, transition words such as however, furthermore, similarly. That is the entire summary of the reading and writing section. Now let's dive deeper into the math section. We have 4 main areas: algebra, which is between 40 and 45% of the math questions; advanced math, which is between 25 and 30%; problem solving and data analysis, which is between 10 and 15%; and geometry and trigonometry, which is also between 10 and 15% of the total math questions. Now, within algebra, we have linear equations, we have linear functions and graphs, we have systems of linear equations and also linear inequalities, and we also have linear word problems. In advanced math, we have non-linear equations such as quadratics, exponentials, and their graphs. Then we have operations with polynomials, which comprises of factoring and dividing. We have equivalent expressions and simplifying rational expressions, and we also have non-linear systems of equations. Within problem solving and data analysis, we have ratios, rates, proportional relationships, and unit conversions. We have percentages and percentage change, and we have data interpretation, which is based on scatter plots, line of best fit, two-way tables. And then we also have statistics and probability, which means calculating the mean, median, standard deviation, and some conditional probability, very basic probability. Then within geometry and trigonometry, we have area and volume of various shapes. We have lines, angles, and triangles, including special right triangles. We have right triangle trigonometry, and we also have circle theorems, which means calculating arc length, sectors, and equations of a circle. So this is the entire math section, and you can get questions based on any of these topics across the entire section. Now, the digital SAT is administered through an app called the Blue Book app, which has 6 useful features that you must know how to make use of. The first is Mark for Review, which allows you to flag difficult questions to try out later. Then you have the Option Eliminator, which allows you to strike out incorrect options so that you can keep track of the options that you've already eliminated. You have a reference sheet, which is a built-in access to common math formulas, but that's a very small list of formulas, so it's not very comprehensive. It's still very useful to have. Then we have a countdown clock, which can allow you to keep track of time. You can also hide it if you like. It also gives you alerts at the 5-minute mark. We have an annotation tool which allows you to highlight text and leave notes. This is available in the reading and writing section only. And finally, you have a Desmos graphing calculator built into the app directly. This will be available for use in your math section. It's a really powerful app, and we make sure that you know how to use it to solve your questions faster. Now, the digital SAT is an adaptive test, which means that every section is divided into two modules. There is the module 1, which is the baseline for every student, which contains a mix of easy, medium, and hard questions. And then based on your performance in module 1, you either get sent to an easier module 2 or a tougher module 2. So you want to make sure that your performance is really good in the first module, because if you don't do so well in the first module, then you will get sent to an easier module 2, and your score will be capped up to a 600 level. But if you do well in module 1, then you get sent to a tougher module 2. Even though the questions there are going to be tougher, you will be scored higher overall. So remember, try to perform as well as you can in module 1 so that you get a tougher module 2, which will result in a higher score. Another important thing to remember is that there are two experimental questions in each section. So if you come across a highly bizarre question, a question that's very tough, then don't let it stress you out, because it's possible that that's an experimental question and doesn't really impact your score. So just make an educated guess on that question and move on. Now let's talk about how the scoring system works on the SAT. Remember, each correct answer gets you 1 point, and then those points combined together are converted to a scaled score. 1060 is an average score on the SAT exam, with an average math score of about 530 and an English score of about 530 as well. Let's talk about the scoring pyramid. Now, the 50th percentile is about 1050, which is what I mentioned earlier. And then if you want to score in the 75th percentile, which means the top 25%, you need to score above 1200. A 90th percentile score would be something like a 1350, which means if you get 1350 or above, you're in the top 10% of all the applicants. And a score of 1520 would result in you being in the top 1% of all the applicants. This means that if you're applying to a top US university, something like a Harvard, an MIT, or Caltech, a top 20 university, then you need to get something like a 1520 and above, preferably a 1550. But if you're applying to a Pakistani university such as IB and LUMS, then at least a 1450 would be really, really useful. So what's the best time to appear in the SAT exam? The SAT is offered 8 times in a year: August, September, October, November, December, and then March, May, and June. Since most college applications occur in December, you want to make sure that you appear in your first year of A-levels, intermediate, or if you're appearing in the second year, then you appear somewhere between August and December of the year so that you're able to meet your application deadlines. Also, take a look at the registration deadlines for the SAT exam, which usually end 2 weeks before the actual test date. If you do miss the regular registration, you also have a 4-day window for a late registration. So please make sure that you register on time and that you choose the right date to make sure that you're able to meet your college application deadlines as well. To register for the SAT exam, please head to collegeboard.org and create a student account, and then you can register. Please make sure that you register on time because seats run out very, very quickly. There are limited number of centers available in Pakistan, especially in Karachi. The cost of taking the exam in Pakistan is $111. And if you are unable to register on time and you pay the late registration, then you need to pay an extra $38. You will need to use a credit card to make the payment. Acceptable forms of ID are the Pakistani passport, a valid passport, or the computerized CNIC. Make sure that both of these documents are valid. One very important thing to remember while registering for the SAT is to make sure that you use the exact same credentials as they occur in your ID. For example, if I'm using my passport here, my surname is given as 𝗪𝗇, then in my application form, I'm going to punch in my last name as 𝗪𝗇. And then since my given name is given as Muhammad Salman, I'm going to use my first name as Muhammad Salman in the application as well. And I'm going to punch in my date of birth here in the format of month, date, and year. Please remember that you use the exact same credentials as you have in the ID, because if you don't, then the testing center may disallow you from taking the exam. Currently, the SAT is available across 7 cities in Pakistan. There is Karachi, Multan, Faisalabad, Lahore, Islamabad, 𝗪𝗶𝗶 and Hassanabad. Within Karachi, we have three testing centers. We have the DHA Safa University, the Highbrow School and College, and the Karachi Grammar School. You also have testing centers in Islamabad and Pindi, and Lahore has a lot of those centers as well. So if you're from Karachi and if you can't find a seat in Karachi, but you want to appear in the SAT exam, you have the option of traveling to one of these other cities to appear in the exam as well. So what does Anees Hussain bring to you for SAT preparation? We have a solid legacy of over 35 years. We launched our first SAT course in Pakistan in 1989. We have the most experienced faculty in the country for SAT preparation. We also have a comprehensive methodology. We allow 10 to 12 hours of rigorous class practice, and the course is spread over 10 to 12 weeks, covering both deep theory and aggressive practice. We also have unmatched faculty. The course is taught by experts who also teach GRE and GMAT, which are much tougher exams, and we are able to provide extra classes for students that need additional help. We also have an advanced testing system so that you're able to practice full-length digital tests with comprehensive diagnostic score reports so that you can figure out what's going wrong with your preparation. And we also offer digital flexibility, which means you can prepare on campus or online. You get full access to a student portal, which features class recordings and also solutions to all our workbooks. Here's a look at the Anees Hussain portal, which will allow you access to all the class recordings. So every class that you go through will be recorded and uploaded to the portal so that if you miss the class or you want to review it later, you have the ability to do that. The portal also gives you access to the course materials and the solutions to all the course books, apart from full-length tests and section tests as well. Here's a snapshot of all the teachers that will be teaching you throughout your course. There's myself, Salman Ghaffar. I've been teaching for over 30 years. We also have Mr. Irfan, Mr. Noman, Mr. Rayyan, and we also have Mr. Badr, Mr. Hasik, Ms. Nusrat, and Ms. Sadia. As you can see, they're all graduates of top universities, and they also have extensive teaching experience for the SAT course. So if you want to prepare for the SAT with Anees Hussain, we have multiple campuses spread across the city of Karachi. You also have the option of joining us online. So all that you have to do is give us a call or drop us an email and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. So don't wait, register now and start preparing. All the best for university admissions. Take care.